The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve and then...
Oh shit! It's Vince Russo!
Vince McMahon's best kept secret.
I am the anti-Christ of professional wrestling!
David Arquette won the world title!
I've got a wife, 3 kids at home, and I really don't need this shit.
How can this show be so awful, Mr. McMahon? I didn't think it was.
Viagra on a pole match.
And Hogan, you big bald son of a bitch, kiss my ass!
Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. McMahon, the family, The Rock, they screwed us all.
Now you're the editor, right?
Mankind did it! Jumpy, beat. Goldberg steered Russo on the table.
I'm from New York.
I'll get downright nasty.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
And I am bringing on a new friend to the show today. Never spoken to him before in my life. Never met him before in my life. However, I'm proud to say this. It's my second friend from Scotland. And I really don't want to, I really don't know if I want to put over the fact that Gredo's my friend. I mean, let's call a spade, and let's be honest. We all know Gredo's a kook, but I love Gredo, and I consider him a friend. This is my second friend now from Scotland, and I'm talking about TNA superstar. His career is at an all-time high as we speak. Former WWE superstar. I'm talking about the great Drew Galloway. Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic today, Vince. How the devil are you?
See, bro, already you're starting with the how the devil are you. Drew, I love stuff like this with you guys. I love the mate. I love the how the devil are you. But the only thing I hope is this. Bro, when I have a conversation with Grado, like, I don't understand a word he's saying. And Drew, the last time Grado came on my show, he put his mother on the phone. And bro, forget it. She might as well have been talking another language. Are you and I going to be able to communicate? Is this Scottish accent with you as heavy as Grado's?
It used to be. We're actually from the same town, if you can believe it. We're both from Ayr, Scotland. However, I've spent 9 years in America now, and you know, Vince had me take elocution lessons at one point, so I've learned to enunciate my words when I'm talking to Americans to ensure they understand me okay.
Well, Joe, I think it's fair to say if you and Grado are from the same town, I think it's fair for me to say that obviously you took all the looks from that town because, you know, you compared to Grado, you know, he kind of looks like Shrek. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I never say anything like that, but Grado, of course, he's one of my boys. I've known him for about 16 years now. I've been wrestling for 16 years. I've known him the whole time. He's always been around. And Grado and I don't know if you know, we actually broke the British Gate record in November there. Like the ICW in Scotland. We got 4,000 people paid, which was the biggest gate in 34 years for the UK, myself versus Grado for the title. So we've been doing some cool things together over in the UK.
Oh, yeah, no, Drew, I got to tell you, bro, I'm always hearing about the IWC over there in the UK. I had the honor and the privilege of going to the UK myself a couple of times now, but I'm always hearing about that IWC and how huge it is over there. Man, I'd love to check that out sometime.
Oh, yeah, you'd absolutely love it. I think it's the IPW, I believe you're working with a couple of times. You're over there, Dan Edler.
Yep, exactly. Yes.
Great time with you. I think I'm over for him in October 8th. I'll be making my return the first time in 12 years. I've not wrestled there for 12 years, so I'm looking forward to going back.
Now, Drew, you're in Fort Lauderdale right now, correct?
St. Petersburg. When I first moved to America, I was signed straight from university, straight from Glasgow Caledonian University, straight to OVW. And then I was on the road on TV within 3 weeks. I think I was the fastest ever guy from developmental to TV. And I had no idea what a hard camera was. Like, I was literally on SmackDown, debuted. They were telling me, kid, work the hard camera. I looked at them and said, listen, I've worked 6 years, but I work all 4 sides, brother. I have no idea what's going on. And then They closed OVW. They sent me to FCW. It was going from light, so darkness to light. Suddenly I was like, right, Florida, this is the place I'm supposed to live, not Louisville, Kentucky. This is where I want to be. And that's where I really started to learn when I was in the FCW with Steve Kern, Dusty Rhodes, Dr. Tom, Norman Smiley, Billy Kidman. That's really where I developed into the wrestler I am today before I re-debuted back in WWE.
So, Drew, how long have you been living in the States now?
It's 9 years, pretty much exactly. This November will be 9 years exactly.
Do you get home, bro, for a good period of time, or do you kind of just go home to tour over there?
These days I do. Like, as I said, I came here at the end of 07, literally just finished university, just a kid fresh off the boat, no idea what was going on. And I got home only whenever there was a show in Glasgow. So I'd maybe get one night in Scotland. I'd have my family come and see the show. I would stay overnight. I was right back on tour. I didn't get injured the whole time, which was fortunate but unfortunate because, as you know, when you get hurt, that's your time off. So I literally didn't get home for the 8 years I was with WWE except for shows. The past 2 years, I've been so fortunate the way things have worked out. People have believed in me, gave me the ball in so many companies, and I am literally back in the UK every 2 to 3 weeks right now. Like, I think I'm the busiest wrestler in the world currently, and I'm like damn lucky to be home as much as I'm home right now and seeing my family.
Hey, Drew, I have to ask you this, bro. Like you said, you and Guerrero go back 16 years in Scotland, you know, where it all began. Bro, when you're starting in your home country, you know, 16 years ago, that would probably put you at about 16 years old. I think that's about when you started training to be a wrestler, right? Like, you know, at that point in time, Drew, do you have a dream of just, you know, I want to be a successful professional wrestler? Or does that dream include, I want to be a successful professional wrestler, and I want to be a successful wrestler in the States, in the biggest company, in the WWE? Or like when you're living in Scotland and working in Scotland, I have to imagine that may almost seem like an unreachable dream when you're a 16-year-old kid, you know, just being that you live so far away.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was told my whole life, like, that's an American thing. You're never going to do that. Went through the phase of when we're kids, everybody likes it. Eventually, everyone else grew out of it. I never grew out of it. I was the kid that was so weird that I sent away to America for the inside secrets of pro wrestling when I was 10. Like Dennis Brent and Percy Pringle wrote the Inside Secrets of Wrestling, Volume 1 and 2. So I got the book. It told me to keep kayfabe. So I would go to school with everyone still believing it was real, but I knew how it really worked. So I would keep the secrets because I was keeping kayfabe. I was kept the books locked away in a briefcase, and I was constantly trying to find wrestling skills because I was so determined to do this and to be the first guy ever assigned to America from Scotland. So I kept working my mom. Let me go to the one wrestling school. Let me go to the one wrestling school. Where is it? 12 hours away. Drew, you're 10 years old. Don't be ridiculous. So I worked her till I was 15. She finally talked to the guy who ran the wrestling school 12 hours away. Made an agreement with him. I started traveling with my buddy the 12 hours back and forth. Every school vacation I had, every time I could save up enough money, every time my mom or my nana would give me enough money, I would be going to wrestling school, learning to wrestle because I wanted it that bad. And I was willing to travel that far as often as I could.
God, I got to tell you, Drew, like that almost, bro, like there's really a fine line between a love for something and an obsession. That almost sounds like an obsession.
Oh, yeah. For anybody that knows me, or anyone who saw my character, if you've even just saw me on the TNA, like that's Drew Galloway in real life. My entire life, I've been obsessed with this business, love this business, dedicated my life to it, like literally sacrificed everything for this business. And I do it gladly because this is all I've ever wanted. And I'm so fortunate to be. You can see me in the background now. This is my new house that wrestling paid for. Like finally, I have something I can point at and say, jumping in my head for 16 years, all those crazy dreams, bought this brand new house that my fiance owns now.
But Drew, I have to ask you this, bro, because bro, listen, you're an anomaly, and I'll tell you why. I've been in the business for 25 years. People are always asking my advice, and like the first thing I say, Drew, is, you know, listen, man, there's very few spots to be a professional wrestler. So like I always tell everybody when I give them advice, have a plan B. Just have something else you could fall back on. Bro, it sounds to me like you had no plan B. It was wrestling or bust.
Well, there technically was a plan B. In my mind, there was absolutely no plan B. But my dad's deal with me all along was, we'll support the wrestling. We'll come to like all your shows. We'll help pay for your wrestling training, but you don't stop school. And as I mentioned earlier, I never stopped. I finally got my degree in criminology, and I guess technically I might have looked into something if it didn't work out. But in my mind, and I genuinely believe this, anybody that has a dream has a goal. If you have tunnel vision and you work your arse off as hard as you possibly can with nothing else distracting you, you can do whatever you want. And in my last year, thankfully, I was signed by WWE when I was 21 years old, straight from university, finished my course, jumped in a plane, jumped straight to America. And it was, game on from there. And this is 9 years later, and I've still not stopped since.
Drew, before we talk about that, because I want to talk about that bridge as a 21-year-old. That's amazing how you make the bridge to the WWE that young. But in going over your bio, I see that you train with some guys that I know very, very well. I want to ask you about them. First of all, Doug Williams, who was always, bro, I had the honor of working with Doug at TNA. Bro, always one of my favorites, the ultimate professional that I ever worked with. What are your experiences working with Doug?
Oh, he's the absolute man. Like when I first started, I was 15. I was going down to, it's called Portsmouth, where he was wrestling at the time for a company called FWA, which was like the cool indie company at the time. And that's, the style I was really interested in when I first started. I was like, man, I want to be like Doug Williams and Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles. Like, they're bringing this new cool style, and I want to do that. Doug was always on me about, learn your basics first. Get that, technical British wrestling down. You got to get your foundations down, and he's the absolute master at it. And he really, helped me out massively. And we actually only got to wrestle for the first time last year, which you can't believe. I've known Doug again for 16 years. And I've never got to wrestle him until recently. And it was like, we've wrestled twice now in the past year. And it's such an honor to get in there with him because he is the man. When it comes to the godfathers of modern British wrestling, he's up there in our version of the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Now I got to tell you, Drew, here's another guy. I never had the honor of watching him work or seeing him wrestle. I formed a relationship with him when I was over in the UK, but his wrestling years were kind of behind him. I'm talking about Alex Shane. Well, he also trained you, a very big name in the UK, but I never got to see Alex work.
So yeah, Alex actually ran FWA London, and I trained in FWA Portsmouth. So I got to see him every so often. I've been around him like over the years. Like he's for a British guy, 6'7", huge, but very, very intelligent when it came to wrestling. He just always had these big ideas, always had something going on. And he was one of the first guys that kind of taught me to think outside the box, rather than just stick to the same old mold. Everyone else is, trying to go on shows and just wrestling, hoping something will happen. He was of the mindset of make something happen, aside being bigger than everybody, be different from everybody, wrestle a little bit different, don't do the same old shit everyone else is doing. Sorry, I swore. And he really started, getting me thinking in that mindset, think outside the box, which is like definitely the way I think these days, mostly thanks to Fit Finlay, who's my mentor. But I've always been around people like that who got in my head and told me to think a different way. And I believe that's a big reason why I was successful.
I got to tell you something, Drew, with the little experience I've had over in the UK, I've been over there a couple of times now. I got to go to Germany, which was a great experience. I got to tell you, I think there's a little bit more of the philosophy of thinking outside of the box, over in the UK and overseas than there is here in the United States. I think here in the United States, they kind of play it a little bit more closely to the vest. They're a little bit more safer. I know a lot of times here in the States, they go back to what they know, and that's wrestling. Whereas in the UK, it's kind of out there, and it really is a feeling of being outside of the box. Am I on point about that? And if so, what's the reason behind that?
Well, I was more referring to, back in the day, like before I came to America, there was pretty much 3 companies in the UK. There was like nothing. There was one TV show, myself and Sheamus and Wade Barrett were the main guys on that TV show. There was the FWA in England. There was no Scottish wrestling scene. So myself and a few others helped start the modern day Scottish wrestling scene. It was when I came back recently, like I see what you're talking about. There's so many different characters now, like so much, wealth of in-ring ability now. That didn't exist back then. We were all exactly the same back then. We were just coming off the conveyor belt, trained the same, wrestled the same. And guys like Alex would get in my head and told me, do not be the same. These days, everything is very different. And like you mentioned, in the UK, people are willing to take a chance. Like over here, people are very conscious about their in-ring style, and that's pretty much where it ends. Like they're very phenomenal at the high flying style if that's their style, they're phenomenal at the technical style if that's their style. But it kind of ends there, and they're the best at it. In the UK, like a guy might be a fantastic wrestler, but they all have these fantastic characters, and sometimes they're so ridiculous they don't work, or so ridiculous they do work. But everybody is willing to take a chance. They're not afraid to fall in their arse like some people over here might be. Yeah,
Drew, you know what I really embraced when I was over in the UK? I'll tell you what I really embraced, and I want to know if it's basically the same. You said, you guys pretty much started the scene over in Scotland. What I embraced was the crowd participation. I loved in the UK, they brought the crowd into the show, and I love that. Is it that same type of style over in Scotland?
So, Scotland is probably where it is the craziest. Like of all, like ICW in Scotland, it is ridiculous. When I came back, I was the returning hero. It's like, here he is, the first guy who ever went to America and was IC champion and tag champion. He's home. He's going to take us to that next level. And then when I turned heel, it got to the point where we were starting to worry about my safety. I was like, wow, I'm going to get stabbed, and this is pretty cool. I feel like a real heel. This is the kind of stories like Finlay had told me about and Taker had told me about back in the day. Like I feel like an actual heel now. Like in America here, always compare it to sports, I guess. Like if you go to a baseball game, an American football game, like whatever sport is your fancy over here, you're sitting in the crowd and somebody stands up and starts shouting abuse. Everybody looks at them like, look at this guy causing a scene, sit down. If you're in the UK and you're not standing up shouting abuse, you're just sitting down, then you're going to get a bottle off your head. You better be up. You better be going crazy. You better be having a wild time. And it applies the same to the wrestling crowd. They show up. They've got their chants for everybody. They're all drinking. They're all having a good time. And they might not be wrestling fans. They might just be fans of that particular company. And that's how cool it is over there. You don't have to like wrestling, but you might be a IPW UK fan, you might be an ICW fan, a PCW fan. You're just a fan of that company, and you just have a good time when you go there, and that's what's cool about it.
Drew, I got to tell you something. You probably know him, and I fell in love with this guy when I was over there. What a freaking gentleman, and he should be working here. He should be. I'm sure you know Bad Bones.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he told me, bro, I'll never forget, I was in the UK first, and then I was going to Germany, and he was telling me that once I got to Germany, the fans were literally going to be standing right around the ring. Like, literally, no barricade. And, bro, I thought he was working me. So I go to the event in Germany, and they brought me in as a surprise, so I walked in while the show was going on, and, bro, these lunatics are literally sitting in the ring. I never saw nothing like that in my life over there.
Oh, I love it. You're talking about WXW.
That's it.
Like Bad Bones' home company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I just debuted for them recently. Actually, it led into winning the title. So, funny little story. This pretty much describes like a weekend for Drew. So basically, I flew to the UK for, they're called the 16-karat gold tournament, WXW's biggest tournament.
Yeah, I know that. That's the big one. I know that, yeah.
Yeah, so I flew in and they wanted me there for the entire weekend, to go through the tournament pretty strong. So I get there and we come to an agreement because of a show in Scotland on Saturday. So I get there on the Thursday, I meet up with Bad Bones, my other buddy. We all hang out, catch up. The Friday, we have a bit of a fan fest deal. I have my first match, which is about 20, 25 minutes. All these wild fans, as you say, around the ring. Such a cool experience, have a great time. Win my match, advance. Then I head straight to the airport to get to Scotland. I get to Scotland late afternoon. I have to drive 2 hours to get to the show. I do the show in Scotland, then I'm leaving again at 2 a.m. So this is Saturday night. So I get back to the airport at 2 a.m., fly to Amsterdam, drive 4 hours to make it back there on the Sunday at the WXW. And because I had missed the Saturday, I had to do 2 matches back to back. So I wrestled for about 40, 45 minutes straight, these 2 matches back to back. Next morning, I was flying back to make TNA TV on Tuesday. So this is the Monday, so if you can follow me here. So we go to the airport. You'll be seeing Germany traffic. The promoters, aren't on top of things at times when it comes to the travel, as good as the shows are. They make me miss my flight So I missed my flight. I'm sitting in Germany on a Monday thinking, oh my God, I have TV tomorrow, a live TV for TNA tomorrow. Great. I have to spend $3,000 of my own money. I get on the plane, fly, just make it to Orlando in enough time to drive back to Tampa, get my shit I need for TV, drive back to Orlando. I get there around 4 p.m. Then I find out I'm winning the strap and I can't even process this. I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, cool. You know, the Big's like, yeah, I thought you'd be more of a reaction. I was like, trust me, you'll see my reaction in the ring. I've just had a bit of a rough weekend.
Jeez,
That's how I found out I was winning the belt.
God, yeah, Drew, Drew, listen, I've flown over there 2 times and it was freaking exhausting for me. I can't imagine it being part of your routine. I can't imagine it, bro. I would last for maybe a month.
Yeah, well, I've been busy and I've been not busy. When I say not busy, I mean I've been, you know, not in storylines or doing much on TV. I've sat in my butt a lot of the time. So I've been busy and I've not been busy, and I choose busy every time. And if I can go to a company, like for WWE, for example, as you know, the wheel always turns, the name sells the product. Aside, unless your name's John Cena, you don't make a difference to the company. But I'm in a position now, I've been fortunate enough to rebuild myself. And I can go to these companies, not as a big fish necessarily, but as a guy who can make the pond bigger. And that's my goal whenever I go around. I see it as my responsibility. As a 31-year-old, I've been doing it 16 years. I just turned 31 2 weeks ago. I'm lucky enough to still be young enough with all this experience. And if I can make a difference, I'm going to go everywhere. Even if it seems impossible travel-wise, I'm going to make it and I'm going to do it because I absolutely love this. And I'm damn lucky to be in the position I'm in.
Yeah. Drew, I want to go back now to the bridge. You're 21 years old. You're training over there in Scotland, you know, for about 5 years. How do we make that bridge over to the U.S.? What's that break that brings us over at such an early age?
I went to a tryout in Manchester the first time. Nobody was there that could sign any of us, myself, Sheamus, Wade Barrett. And then we had a tryout 6 months later in London. So this was my tryout where I thought to myself, if I don't get signed here, I may have to get a real job. This is scary. So we got there. John Laurinaitis was there, thankfully. And we had the tryout. Myself and Sheamus rolled around the ring together. He grabbed me afterwards, took me aside and told me, I'm thinking of bringing you to America. And I said, I'm thinking of letting you. So it all worked out just in time, like, oh, nicely. And then it was about a 6-7 month period of getting the visa sorted out. So it's not so easy to get in America. And then it was all go from there. And 3 weeks later, as I said, Wade Barrett was getting there 3 weeks after me. I was already on TV by the time he got to America.
Now, Drew, I want to ask you this. You're going to have to fill in some of the blanks for me because, quite frankly, you debuted in the WWE in 2003. During that time, bro, like I'm entrenched in writing TNA television. There was a big chunk of time that I did not get to watch WWE programming at all. I was just busy doing what I was doing. And a lot of that time was, you know, during your run in the WWE. Now I'm just going to tell you what, reading up on it and reading up about you, I'm going to tell you what I perceive, and I want to get your feedback on it because, you know, like I said, I wasn't watching you at that point in time, but it seemed to me you get signed by the WWE, you're on WWE TV. Obviously, bro, you've got the look. You're a good-looking guy. You got the body. You got the gimmick, you know, you're unique, you're an individual, all that's working for you. From everything I read, it looks like Vince McMahon was behind you and behind the character. But, you know, with my experience, I'm kind of reading that, like, you know, the wheels kept turning in place. And for whatever reason, it never really went to that next level. Like you were kind of stuck in a certain spot. Is that accurate, Drew, or am I way off?
That's fairly accurate, I would say. Like as I mentioned, I came to America and I debuted right away. That was when I was in OVW. They took me back off television. I was only on for 3 weeks. This is when I was 21, turning 22. And the period you're talking about was when I re-debuted when I was 23, 24. And the gimmick was Vince McMahon's Chosen One, which is something I did not know was going to happen. Like I was literally in Guerrera just doing my thing and about to do a promo. And one of the writers told me, oh, just 1 second, Vince is going to talk first. And I said, all right, cool. So, you know, he's the boss. He can do whatever he wants. And then he went on TV and endorsed me. And put me over as like a badass and reminded him of himself, etc. So as a 23, 24-year-old kid standing in Gorilla watching this, so bursting out laughing, like, what is going on here? Is this a joke? And then I had to go out and cut my promo. So, it blew my mind. I love situations like that. I love, like, pressure and things that have never been done before. Like, he's never endorsed anybody like that. And, but we're off to the races from there. And, I feel like things were, going the direction they needed to. We were starting to, get people talking and getting people really hating me. I just was so determined to just be a character that people just despise and have no redeeming qualities. And then, like you say, it got to a point where I didn't feel like we were advancing so much. And
well, Drew, I want to ask you a question, because you said something very, very interesting there. Okay, and I'd love to talk about this with you. You tell me at the time you're 23, 24, you're in Gorilla, and Vince, all of a sudden, this is the anointed one and the chosen one by me. Now, of course, a 23, 24-year-old kid, that's got to freak you out, especially not expecting it. However, Drew, we know there's a certain amount of politics and jealousy and every man for himself in the wrestling business. I got to tell you, bro, Vince McMahon anointing you like that also, I would think, had to have some ramifications behind the scene of, wait a minute. I've been here for 10 years and this 23-year-old kid walks in the door and Vince McMahon is anointing him. I would have to believe some of that was probably going on. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know that yourself. It was obviously going on. Like, I only know so much, but obviously it was a great deal going on. And, as long as I've been wrestling at that point, like 8 years or whatever, I wasn't used to the American style when big money's at stake, and I probably wasn't, approaching the business backstage the way I probably should have. Like, I'm never a guy that's going to be like sucking up to people, but I could have been a bit more diplomatic the way things were handled. I could have, pitched things a little better because I just didn't know any better, I guess, was the case. Like right now, I'm ready. I've been through it all. I've been the highs, lowest of lows, been through every single thing. And these days, I'm ready as a 31-year-old. At that time, I felt ready. I didn't care about any of the pressure, any of the crap anybody was saying, but I didn't realize the negative effect the crap people were saying was having on me. I just assumed talent will always prevail, which is not always the case.
Yeah. I mean, dead on, Drew. Like, I hear you. And like, I was of that same mindset. But Drew, like, do you remember back then, again, being 23, 24, Vince is anointing you. You're so excited. Your dream is coming true. And then all of a sudden now we see the business side of the business, which you really weren't privy to in the UK. And it's not that way in the UK. My experiences there, I did not see any politics involved my time over there. It was completely different. But like, Drew, do you remember the time, like, was there an instance where the light bulb went off and all of a sudden a 23, 24-year-old, had to understand, well, wait a minute, there's a business side to this, and now I'm getting it. Do you remember how that happened?
I don't remember any particular incident. I just remember starting to get really frustrated because I didn't feel we were advancing anymore. Like my storyline was, I was Vince's guy, and the Nexus had just started at that time, which was a big storyline, and they wrote Vince off TV. So suddenly I lost the key factor in my character. So that's when things, kind of stopped advancing because I didn't have Vince anymore and I was Vince's guy. So we had myself and Teddy Long feuding, who was the general manager of SmackDown at the time. So he got his revenge on me. Then it got to the point of, okay, what do we do next? And then I jumped into a storyline with Kelly and Edge, and just a few weeks, and it was, okay, what do we do with him next? And then I just kept jumping around, and there was no real direction anymore, and kind of lost the foundation of the character, I guess, by that point. And that's when things kind of really started spinning wheels, and I got taken off television to try and figure it out. But suddenly when you're off TV, as you know, you can easily get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
And a lot of time passes, Yeah. Even though if you're killing it match-wise, even if it's on Superstars, whatever, it's a case of somebody brings your name up in the meeting. They're like, oh, yeah, what's happened with him? Oh, it's been a year and a half. He's not been on TV.
So Drew, what year did the separation from the WWE come?
Pretty much exactly 2 years ago.
God, Drew, Drew, this is what blows me away, because wrestling is a business. So basically, you get there in 2007. So how old are you at that time?
So end of 2007, I just not long turned 22 at that point.
God, bro, see, this is where like it blows me away. So they more or less invest in you from the time you're 22 almost till the time you're 29. 7 years. That's it. That's a financial investment. All of a sudden, bro, you're hitting your prime at 29 years old, and after 7 years, they make a decision. Okay, we're going to end the relationship. That blows me away, bro, because now you're out there for the pickings for somebody to pick up this young 29-year-old that hasn't even hit the prime of his career.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. But also, I'd been in like a character right before I left the 3MB. I don't know if you ever saw that. Like a fake rock band right before I left. I hadn't actually had a singles match or a feud of any note for a long time. So when I left initially, a lot of people might not have been aware of what I could do in the ring if they hadn't seen me for a few years in the ring. And it took a couple of guys speaking on my behalf. For example, like Trent Beretta, I don't know if you've heard that name, mentioned to Gabe Sapolsky, who runs Evolve, hey, Drew would like a company where he can show what he can do in the ring. And he'd like to wrestle me in Evolve, if that's okay with you. Gabe thought, all right, former WWE guy, don't know much about him, can only get a few extra people in. And then he was bringing me in. Beretta got injured. Gabe saw my return to Scotland, which went viral on the internet to ICW, my return promo, and said, I think I know what you're going for here. How would you feel about winning the title in your first match back against Chris Hero? Which I did, and then that relationship steamrolled from there. And it really was a case of people just seeing what I was doing, seeing the passion in my promos, what I was saying. I was just being myself, putting everything into my work in every single facet. And people really just started giving me the ball in every country I went to. Like I won the Australian title, the Danish title, a bunch of titles in the UK, and all across the world. People were believing in me and giving me the ball. And that's all I ever wanted, was the opportunity to show what I could do. And that's so cool.
Now, Drew, how did you make the connection to TNA? Was it an individual you had a past relationship with? How did you make that connection?
Well, basically, I was back home in Scotland for the ICW, and I had a show on the Sunday, and TNA had a tour on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I believe it was. And I had a few missed calls from a Nashville number. I was lying in my bed in Scotland on the Monday after the show, and I thought, I can't think of anyone I know in Tennessee, and just ignored the calls.
Hold on a minute, Drew. You don't know TNA's in Tennessee?
Well, yeah, I'm aware. But when you're waking up from a show on a Sunday, the last thing in your mind you're thinking is TNA are phoning me right now. All I thought was, I can't think of any of the boys that are from there, and if they cared that much, they would leave a voicemail. That's all I was thinking. So I wasn't really thinking. It was early in the morning in Scotland. So eventually Tom or Dreamer texts me saying, hey, Drew, would you mind answering your phone? TNA would like to talk to you. So I was like, all right, tell me, I'll speak to them, but I have no intention at this point of being on TV. Like, it's been about 6-7 months I've been back in the Indies. Things have been going really well. I've started reinventing myself. I started to become a bit of a name on the Indies, which was my goal, just to stay out of the, the TV light, the spotlight, if you like, and just reinvent myself on the underground. I was like, I know this business. That's what I'm going to do. So I said, I'll speak to Big. Like, I've known him for a long time, since WWE. And we spoke on the phone, and he basically told me I'm not taking no for an answer. I've known you a while. I believe in you. I want to give you the shot. And I'm going to let you be yourself. And all I was adamant about was, if you're going to let me be myself, can I be Drew Galloway? Yes, you can. You're not going to script me word for word, because I can't handle that right now. I'm enjoying myself. I don't want to be on TV. So everything he said, like, he stuck by. And he said, okay, well, we're looking to debut on Manchester on the Friday, I think it was. And I knew they did a show in Glasgow the night before. And I said, okay, if you're really going to listen to my opinion, you want to use me as a babyface, how about we debut me in Glasgow the night before? I'm from Scotland. It doesn't get any bigger than that. Mm-hmm. And then he went off, spoke to whoever he had to speak to. And that's where it began. I debuted that Thursday. The contract was signed like that day, not long before I hit the ring. And the agreement was also they'd still allow me to do all my independent dates around it, which is all I ever wanted. So right now it's the perfect scenario. They've stuck by their word. They've let me be Drew Galloway the whole way. They've built me up in such an incredible way on TV, and they've stuck to their word of letting me work with all the independent companies I've been helping and growing and growing and growing. And we've got a big show for ICW in November that we're looking for 13,000 seater. We're doing the 4,000 one meeting greater. We're going for 13,000. So there's all these outside projects that are allowing me to do. And right now is just such a unique time for wrestling, and a unique time for me. And I appreciate everything they've done for me.
Hey, Drew, let me ask you this question. In a short period of time in TNA, bro, let's face it, you become the guy. You know, you're the guy. You become the guy. Was that difficult for you, Drew? Because again, let's face it, in the WWE, in that hierarchy, you're never going to be the guy. Then you go to independence, and you know you're all over the place, so you never have that responsibility. Now you get with a company, and in a short period of time, bro, you're the guy. Was that a difficult role for you? Not so much in front of the camera, but behind the camera?
No. And when it came to the other companies, I saw it as a big responsibility. I saw myself as the guy for all these other companies. Before I got to TNA, like, I saw the difference what was making when I was there. I saw the guys stepping their game up. I would speak to them about the way television is, especially in the UK companies. And I saw myself as the guy there, and I saw myself with these responsibilities. And I wanted that position. I've wanted it for a long time, and I know I've been ready for it for a long time, including WWE. And TNA were like very fortunate enough to believe in me and give me that opportunity and say, okay, this is what you've always wanted. We believe in you. Here's the ball. What are you going to do with it? Yeah. And it's just been my goal every single time to try and knock it out. Like, I'll always give 150% in my promos. I've worked hard to be, better at it, because I know it was a weak point of my game. Like, I was always, the wrestler or the brawler, the fighter, the realistic guy in the ring. But I worked hard to be able to put myself across in like a compelling manner on the microphone and be understood. Also, obviously, this is my real voice. It's a bit harder to understand in the way I talk in television, but I worked hard in my game in every single area. I've done like all these interviews and everything, just every single facet I possibly could think of that John Cena, for example, would do. I was like, all right, Cena does this. He has no time. I can beat Cena. And that's been my goal. Like, he's the guy I look at, the standard bearer for being the man. I was like, if Cena was willing to do it, if he's willing to travel all these places, I'm willing to do it. I'm going to top Cena, even if I'm not in WWE.
Well, also, too, I would have to think, Drew, because he's a good friend of mine, and I can't tell you how much I love this guy. I would do anything for this man. And listen, I wouldn't say that about many wrestlers, because, again, it's, friendships aren't really true friendships in wrestling. You could probably count them on one hand. But, man, I would have to think that Kurt Angle probably was a great influence there when you were working with him at TNA.
That was the man. Like, there's nobody like Kurt Angle. Like, aside the fact, like, he's the fastest guy to jump from one sport to pro wrestling. Obviously, it was amateur wrestling, but nobody like evolved the way he did. Obviously, you were there writing with him at the time, working with him. I was just watching it on television and watching the tapes back. And just aside the fact that he's so believable, so good in the ring, so entertaining. Like, there's nobody who's like a Kurt Angle. But aside all of that, on top of it all, he's the most driven, passionate guy ever. No matter how passionate like people think I am or how hard I push myself, there's nobody like Kurt Angle. And he inspired me to push even harder. And then inevitably, before he left the company, he put me over in such an incredible fashion. He wanted to tap out to me. He didn't want to get pinned or anything. He said, "You're going to tap me out." And I was like, what is going on here? Like, I just cannot fathom it. Like, Kurt Angle was telling me, like, you've got to step up and be the man around here when I'm gone. Like, myself and EC3, for example, were two of the guys. And I just couldn't get my head around it. But I know I'm ready to take on these responsibilities.
Yeah. Drew, I'm going to ask you a tough question now. And it's a little bit of a controversial question. But I'm asking you it for a reason. Bro, listen, I'm not the guy. I'm not into the dirt and the this and the that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested. I love talking about the business of the business. And there's something I'm worried about when it comes to TNA. And I'm going to throw this out there at you because I want to get your feeling on this. Listen, I worked for TNA long enough, okay, to understand, bro, the finances at TNA, like, it's an issue. Listen, it's not the WWE. We're not a publicly owned company. We're not a conglomerate. It's a much smaller company. And a lot of times, bro, finances are an issue. Finances were an issue when I was there. And, bro, I understand it. I mean, it just comes with the territory. I get it. For them to be in business as long as they have, that says a lot. I mean, that really says a lot. But, bro, here's my concern that I kind of see happening with TNA in the last couple of years. Bro, I kind of see like they develop stars and they created stars. Let's use an AJ Styles as an example. Let's use a Magnus. Let's use them as two examples. A Samoa Joe, for example. So all of a sudden, bro, they do a very good job creating stars. These individuals, bro, are busting their butts and giving everything to the company because, bro, in their minds, they want to be, at the top of the list. And bro, let's face it, they want to make as much money as possible. Everybody should be into the wrestling business to make money. It's a business. So these guys are striving to make as much as they can. All of a sudden, bro, their contracts come up. They're only looking for X amount of dollars. TNA, I think, is looking at it like, well, wait a minute. Rather than pay so-and-so X amount of dollars, we could bring in 3 or 4 young guys and literally get them for less money than we're going to pay an AJ or we're going to pay a Magnus or we're going to pay a Joe. And I keep seeing that routine happen over and over again. Now, my concern is, bro, you just said it. When I look at you and I look at EC3 and I look at what they're doing with these guys, I'm looking at TNA are creating stars. These guys are in a position that hopefully they'll be able to earn a lot of money. But, bro, I just hope it doesn't get to that point with guys like you and guys like EC3 where all of a sudden it's time for you to cash in. And now TNA's got to look at it from a financial point of view saying, wait a minute, Drew wants X amount of dollars, but for that money, we cannot re-sign Drew and bring in 4 other guys, that'll make less than 1. And I kind of feel like that's turning into the mentality of TNA due to finances. And that bothers me, bro, because I feel like they're building people and then they're letting people go at their peak because of financial reasons. And I think that's going to hurt the company in the long run. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but I'm on the roster part of the show. I don't know the ins and out of the backstage stuff. Again, I've always, tried to keep myself away from that kind of area. I can tell you as much as financially I am looked after. I read all the time about the paychecks. I'm personally always paid on time. But I see what you're saying about building up young guys, and this is what it reminds me of right now. The particular show right now, I've watched it develop the whole time I've been there, and right now I'm the proudest I've been of the show. And the only thing I can compare it to is myself and Sheamus in WWE. We were the original youth movement. Vince realized that the old guard were retiring, were going away, and he had to make stars. So myself and Sheamus were the guinea pigs for it. The night I won the IC title, he won the world title, and he invested a lot in both of us at the time. And that's kind of what reminded me of as I watched people going out. And that's all the stuff I pay attention to. I wouldn't know about the financials and everything like that, but I paid attention to what was going on. And I went, okay, I can see what's happening here. The old guard are going out and they're giving people an opportunity. They're giving younger guys the ball. And as the angles, everything goes out, EC3 and I are the ones who are saying to people, all right, we have an opportunity right now. So we've still got, the Hardys, for example, but we're at a point where it's going to be on our work. It's going to be on creative. We're going to have to bust our ass to make every single show a killer show. No show is going to be a throwaway show. We're all going to bust their bollocks. And over this period of time, I've watched everyone find their character. I've watched everybody kill themselves in the ring. No matter if there's 3 days of TV in a row, 2 matches a day in front of the same crowd 5 times, everybody bust their ass in every single segment. And all I know is it's a team effort from top to bottom. We're absolute killing ourselves to make sure every single show there is not one wasted segment. If anybody's dragging ass, we'll kick their ass out of the company, because that's the way we're looking at it right now. It's just, if you want to say sink or swim, I don't know much about that stuff. All I know is we work our asses off to make those shows good every single week.
Yeah, no, Drew, I've said this because, listen, I have to watch the WWE every week because it's part of my job. And I started watching TNA recently, and I've come on here and said, bro, there is no doubt about it. The effort being put into TNA compared to the effort being put in WWE. And I'm talking from a creative aspect. I think the boys always work their asses off, bro. I'm talking creatively, the effort being put in TNA is heads and tails above what's going on. Bro, I just saw the footage, of Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy that's going to air. It blew me out of the water. And I've said right here on this show, there is no doubt, bro, TNA is the better show. I mean, right now, TNA is a better show than WWE. But I think, unfortunately, what hurts it again is the finances of not being able to promote it and really put the money you need into it to promote it. So you got to depend on word of mouth, and that just takes a little bit more time than actually advertising dollars. But I agree with you, Drew. The effort is stronger than WWE, and I believe right now it's a better show to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I never necessarily, said that, but we do work our asses off, and like, it's a cool time to be a wrestling fan. You've got so much variety, and all the shows are so different. Everybody's not trying to be a second-rate WWE anymore. Everybody's trying to be their own unique company. If you watch a Lucha Underground, even NXT, even as part of WWE, is so different. A Ring of Honor is so different. A TNA is so different. Like, everybody is something different right now, and it's such a cool time. And you can see when people are trying really hard or busting their asses when you watch the show. You can tell when they are, and you can tell when they aren't. And even the fans who are watching the show, even if they don't know the ins and out, or they're smart, if you want to put it that way, they can just tell. Something tells them subconsciously something's not right, or somebody's not trying hard enough, or this doesn't make sense, even if they can't verbalize it.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, bro, I watched the scene that I know Jeremy Borash had a lot to do with. And bro, I said flat out, I went out on my Twitter and I said, this is the best thing I've ever seen. This is better than anything I ever wrote or I ever produced. I think it was 17 minutes and 50 seconds long, bro. And it was the best 17 minutes and 50 seconds I ever saw on any wrestling show I'd ever seen. As a matter of fact, this is my concern, Drew. My concern is the bar was lifted so high in 20 minutes that there's going to be expectations now. And it's going to be so difficult to go from this 20-minute movie back to the Impact Zone and back to a wrestling rink. And it's going to be difficult because I really feel that you guys brought wrestling to a new level and really showed everybody, listen, this is what a wrestling show can be in 2016. However, we can't go backwards now. We have to go forward. So I think there's a little bit of pressure on TNA right now, I think, to keep going in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see it myself, and like you say, like it melted my mind. And I was like, wow, this is like something I've never seen in my life. And tonight, once they air the show, it's going to be most talked about thing in a very long time in wrestling. Like, you've seen it, I've seen it, and we both know, like, people are going to be talking about it, be it they like it or they don't like it. It's just so different. Like, you put it perfect. It's like a little movie almost, and people suspend their belief enough to get into the wrestling action. They can suspend their belief enough to watch a movie. They can suspend their belief enough to watch this and just appreciate it for what it is. Like, Matt's a smart man. Like, he's the one guiding this ship, and he knows how to get people talking. Yeah. He's getting them talking.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's great. And man, I really hope to see more of this. And the fact that, TNA took a chance, bro, you talk about outside of the box. I mean, this just busted all four sides.
It's a different planet.
It's a different planet, Drew. And I give them all the credit in the world. Listen, I've had some heat with TNA, but that's just philosophical. But after I watched this, bro, I sat down this morning and I emailed everybody involved and I said, guys, I can't. It was fantastic and it was unbelievable. Hey, Drew, I got to ask you a question. Now you're on top of the mountain at TNA. You're on top of the mountain in your profession. Drew, once you get there, is it hard for you to create newer, higher goals for yourself? Because let's face it, bro, you're there now. You're at the top now. So from a personal viewpoint, like, what goal do you set as to where to go from there?
Well, there's always goals. I've been setting goals for myself about 2 years before I was gone from WWE, and had a conversation with Taker, and he told me, if they're not doing anything with you, speak to the big man. If he's not getting anything for you right now, get out and, make an impression, be it in Japan, be it wherever, and then one day you'll cross paths again. So I've been making goals for a long time, picturing in my head how I would approach things if I wasn't with the company, and I was lucky enough to smash all my short-term goals real quick. And when I won the TNA title, my big goal, when I won the Evolve title, for example, or the ICW title, I took them around the world and defended them around the world to get them recognized as world titles, because I wanted to be the first traveling world champion since Ric Flair. When I won the TNA belt, as I say, I didn't sleep all that weekend. I went straight, and I remember I spoke to Billy Corgan, and I said, I can't really enjoy it right now. I've got to think, what makes me different? How am I going to be different to a Kurt Angle champion, a Matt Hardy champion, an EC3 champion? Where I'm the busiest guy in the world. I'm the guy that travels around all these countries all the time. I need to mesh the two, the TNA Drew and the outside of TNA Drew, which is the same guy. But I need to take this title around the world, and I will be the first traveling champion of Ric Flair. And I took that TNA belt around the world, and I defended it in multiple countries, and it got some buzz. It got people talking, and people saying to me, I've been watching the show, and I've seen the difference. I've seen the improvement. Or we liked your match tonight. We're going to watch the show. And I saw that as my responsibility as the ambassador, as the champion, to get more eyes on the product. I just lost the title of the pay-per-view there. And the goal right now is to see how the feud myself and EC3 evolves. And perhaps people will get to see another side of my personality. They've seen more of a white meat babyface, which is just the guy speaking his mind. Babyface Drew is the same as heel Drew. I always speak my mind. I believe I'm right, no matter if other people believe I'm right. And they're going to start seeing some, layers to the characters, Vince would say, getting added as this storyline progresses. And that's just how you stay over and how you stay relevant in wrestling. As you know, you got to keep adding layers.
All right, Drew, listen, I got to get a little personal with you now, because listen, Drew, a lot of people like to compare me to, like, they say I'm the Oprah Winfrey of podcasts. So I got to get a little personal with you, Drew. You mentioned,
I think my brother said that. He loves you.
Okay. You mentioned, because I listen to everything you say, Drew, everything. Drew, let me ask you a question. Would you rather have that Scottish accent, which I love and I mark out for, or would you rather have the New York, Brooklyn accent like me? Would you rather have my accent?
Well, I do enjoy it, and it's certainly is easy to understand. It certainly gets your attention. I'm not long out of bed when I was talking to you. That was like a cup of coffee listening to your accent. But this accent's always got me some attention in the positive way, so I wouldn't give it away.
I got to get back to this personal question now. Okay, you mentioned in there, in passing, bro, I picked it up 1 second, you used the word fiance. Okay, right?
Yep.
So I'm assuming you're engaged, right?
I am engaged.
Okay, now, Drew, let me ask you this. I'm assuming your fiance is not associated or in the wrestling business?
No.
Okay. Drew,
Studying to be a doctor.
Studying to be a doctor.
Yes.
Okay, Drew, here's my concern. Listen, I'm talking to you man to man here, because Drew, I'm 55, so I'm 24 years older than you. But I've been married. I'm going on 33 years in September. Okay, but Drew, I kind of made these same mistakes along the way. This is why I'm asking you, bro. You are. I don't want to use the word obsessed. Bro, I talk to hundreds of people on this show. And Drew, I got to tell you, you may be the one guy that I've spoken to that has a passion for the business, literally more than anybody I've spoken to. And every wrestler, every wrestler loves the wrestling business, but you, bro, you're going all over the world with this. Now being engaged and getting married and, having the wife, is that going, I mean, bro, there's got to be some kind of a balance, once there's another, human being. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, bro? Like, you are so, wrestling seems to be 1,000% of, I'm going to be the best Drew Galloway I can be if it means going all over the world. And I respect the hell out of that, because there are guys that just go through the motions. But now when you have a fiance, you're going to get married soon, you got a new place there. Do you ever worry about that balance that's going to have to come with that?
Absolutely not. I've been through all the relationships and everything throughout my wrestling career. I've been doing it 16 years, and she's been with me with my final year in WWE, and she's been with me through the past 2 years. and she's been on this rocket ship I've been on, and she's, you know, experienced me being away. So she's only known me being away pretty much the whole time we've been together, and we've, you know, learned how to balance things out. And she's the one that kind of keeps me balanced. Like if as obsessed as I am, there's got to be a line somewhere, or I would go completely insane, which I have done in the past, like wrestling. When you're that passionate, as you know, can drive you a little insane, and she is the one that keeps me sane. She's the one that keeps me where I need to be and keeps pushing me forward. And when I'm down, just picks me back up. And, you know, she's the right one to be with. It's been 3 years now, and, you know, she's the one.
Drew, is she from the States?
Yes, she's from West Virginia.
So how did you and her meet?
We met in Tampa. Just about 15 minutes away, the first bar Sheamus and I ever went to. It's always a bar story. We always say we should change this story to somewhere more romantic. She fell off a cliff in a cutter.
You met her at church, bro. Sunday services. Yeah.
But so I avoided saying wrestling for a while until I finally had to tell her what I did.
Now, Drew, do you want to start a family at some point? Bring some kids into the world that can continue the tradition?
Oh yeah, I'm Andrew McLean Galloway the 4th, so I need an Andrew McLean Galloway the 5th. But yeah, not anytime soon. It's just not fair. Like I want to be there when my kids are growing up, and now is not the right time. I have so many goals left to achieve. As I say, I just turned 31, which still blows people's mind. They'll think I'm like 40 or my early 40s. They're like, "Oh, you've been around forever, Drew. What age are you?" Like just turned 31 2 weeks ago, motherfucker. But I've got so many goals left to achieve, and I don't mind being a bit of an older dad if I get to be there with my kids.
Yeah, but Drew, let me tell you this though too, bro. I'm telling you this based on just my experience, bro. You're only 32 and you've accomplished so much, and it seems now, bro, you're running more than ever. I just want to make sure, bro, you got to make sure you can't burn yourself out. I hope you're taking a little bit of time for yourself here and there, bro. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself to a crisp.
Yeah, I mean, we make sure we get our little vacation here and there, and, you know, even if it's work related. Like, for instance, when I wrestle in Australia, I'll tell them to keep me there for a week, and I'll bring her with me, and things of that nature. Just to keep a balance where I can. Something I couldn't have done in, say, like WWE when I was running full time on that schedule. I'm running, you know, on a busier schedule now, but I'm also able to dictate what happens on this schedule, so I can keep the sanity and avoid burning out. And if I feel myself burning out, I can modify things.
Yeah.
Which I never feel myself burning out. If I have too much time off, I go stir crazy anyway.
Yeah. Well, Drew, listen, I'm glad we got to meet. I'm glad we had this conversation. And bro, your passion for the business. Honestly, bro, TNA's really lucky to have somebody like you, because your passion and your love and your drive and what you want to accomplish and what you've already accomplished, they are, man, they're lucky and they're blessed to have somebody like you playing on their team. And I sincerely mean that, bro, because I feel that passion coming through the computer screen right here.
Well, like coming from like someone like yourself, you've been around it your whole life and you've done like so much for this business. I really do appreciate that. That means the world. Thank you.
Drew, let's plug TNA. Everybody knows it on Pop TV. Check it out. Again, I'm telling you, man, they're doing unbelievable things. And there's a change. You can see the change. And I can tell you from a writing perspective and a creative perspective, the change can't come overnight. It can't be all done in one fall swoop, but you can see it week to week to week, and they're doing some great things over there. Drew, if people want to follow you on social media on a personal level, how can they do that?
Oh, if you want to follow my adventures around the globe, the best way, that's the great thing about social media. Matt Hardy taught me this, is people can follow you, and that's the reason I was able to build this brand that I have going right now. The main way is at Galloway Speaks on the Twitter. So if you go on my Twitter at Galloway Speaks, you'll see the links for my Facebook and Instagram, and Facebook Live's a great thing right now. I'll constantly play videos from all the shows I'm doing abroad. I'm about to go to ICW in Scotland. If you want to keep an eye on the 29th, 30th, and 31st, I'll be broadcasting live from there and see the wild crowds from across in Scotland. So come on the journey.
Yeah, no, and I would recommend that, because everything I hear about that promotion is unbelievable. And Grado's always sending me footage, and I got to sit down and watch the footage and check it out. But there you have it, everybody. Drew, I want to thank you for being on. Just really thank you for coming on today and joining me here on the Swerve Raw. It's been a great conversation, and I'm glad that we got to meet.
Absolutely. I was excited about it. Like, I was genuinely excited. I was telling my fiance, Caitlin over there, say hi, Caitlin. Seeing some cake in the corner. But I was telling her how excited I am to talk to yourself. So it's something I've been looking forward to. And as I say, my brother's a huge fan as well. So he's excited to listen to it. So what's up, John? Said I'm on Vince's podcast.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to meeting you in the future, my friend, because I see many, many, many great things happening for both you and TNA, Drew. And I really do mean that.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again. Add another swerve and then put it on a pole again. Put it on a pole again. Put it on the pole again. And our square to quad is gonna get emotional as I wait to overbook the damn